Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Thanks for stopping by. This week on MadRatt's Industrial Custom Everything, got parts for the Bro Man. Come on along, we're going to do an unboxing and check it out. If you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Notified of content when new stuff comes out. It helps us out greatly and we appreciate it. For those of you stopping back, thanks for your loyalty. And I know you're just here to see the shit show that is me working on stuff. So thanks for stopping by. Let's get after it. There it is. Those that don't know, new water pump assembly for a small block Chevy Gen 1 small block, not LS. When you need to replace the water pump, you just replace that piece I showed you with the bad box. Just bolts right in here. The impeller assembly, replaceable. This bolts into place just like the water pump used to, but with an O-ring instead of a gasket. A little bit of O-rings on there, and then the bolts come through. Two bolts. Down here, one up there. And then that will be what we build everything off of. Brackets will come off of this for alternator, for air conditioning, power steering pump. There'll be an idler pulley. It'll be all one serpentine belt system instead of multiple V-belts. So it's a lot more compact, a lot nicer. Dirty as crap. This will be what we start with, I believe, and then we build off of that. So the rest of this is going to be, and you can get this in natural finish or black, and my brother chose for black. He wanted everything blacked out on this. He likes chrome accents, not chrome everything. So that's the tensioner assembly. I don't need to unbox all this stuff. Crank pulley. Hardware for that, so that's for that. Here's your new power steering pump. Here's the other pulley. Holly. Made in China. There's our air compressor. This must be an alternator. Yeah. It's LT1 style, 150 amp. We're going to be putting air conditioning on this, so we wanted the bigger one. If you ever want them to run electric fans and stuff. And then this is all just alternator pulley bracket, tensioner cover, heater and bypass, hoses, different lines, and this is probably dampener bulb. Yep. So, all right, this will be all there. Go through the assembly manual and see if there's anything missing. And there was one more box stuff. Oh yeah, this is a updated fuel pump. One on there looks pretty old. He wants new just to be safe. And then so that's what that is. Black. He wanted black. And some new wire looms. Not milled or anything, just black, smooth. Both of the valve covers. We'll make our custom wires and go off of that. That'll conclude the unboxing for now. All right, so a little idea of that. I'll got to get the water pump off of here. That shouldn't take too long. And the pulley off the crank. Dampener pulley, crank pulley. I finger tight put on an alternator bracket because I thought we were just going to do something simple to get it up and running until we decided on all this stuff. And then he just decided to pull the trigger. And yeah. One step closer to getting the Bro Mat on the road. All right, let me get after it. First things first, I'm going to get these off. I'm going to get the line off. I'm going to change that fuel pump. The new fuel pump in. I'll get this off. Set the new bracket up in there and see where my room is at, because I'd like to change this line to run differently, tuck behind, and hopefully I don't know what kind of room I'm going to have. So we'll have to mock that up so I can make a new line. That's what we're doing first. Okay. Hey guys, another day, another cluster beep. I mean, this is the next day after starting to take stuff apart on the motor there, and I had a problem with the fuel lines, and decided just to go ahead and start assembling the accessory drive kit, front mount from Holley. Pretty neat little setup, but all comes completely disassembled. But I ran into a problem, typical with these Tri-5s, especially the early ones. This one has nothing to do with it being early; it just has to do with it being a Tri-5 and how they did motor mounts back in the day. Completely different than what we're used to off the side of the block. They're actually mounted to the front of the block. And I'm going to turn around here and show you the instruction manual on what I'm running into. Good times. Good times. Check this out. So this bolts up just like a regular water pump. There's your water pump bolts, bolt holes. Come through. But they also have this bolt down here. Because of being a serpentine belt and all the pressure that's on the crank, you don't want this whole piece to move like this. All you got is the pressure on those two little water pump bolts. So they go further down and they have this bolt, which bolts to the block there. So this will be all flush to the block, and then that leg comes down there, and that'll keep everything from flexing. Well, look what I'm dealing with here. That's that bolt. That is our motor mount. Nothing is quick and easy. Nothing is simple. So I took a break. That's actually the factory motor mount there. This is for the power steering that we're not going to use anymore, so that mount's going to come off. So I have actually one of them to play with in hand, but I don't think I'm going to be able to cut this and then make a different mount, because you want two bolts on this for flex. I was thinking about it overnight, and that's the bolt hole. Lift this up. I haven't even looked at this yet to see, but yeah, it goes through there. I'm going to take some good measurements, and my brother's willing. I think what I'm going to end up doing, whatever the thickness of that motor mount is, we'll cut this back, and then this will sit on the motor mount with the motor mount sandwiched between this and the block, and then run the bolt. That side's the same. So it's not like I have crazy amount to cut off. That might be our best bet, but waiting for my bro. He's around this weekend. Make sure he wants to do that, because that will definitely void warranty. Then that part will sit on top here, minus the distance of that mount. Hot rodding. Fun and easy for everyone. Oh. That'd be the bro in Mad. This guy right here. Don't look so stunned. There you go. Wave to the people. All right. This is the motor mount that I took off, put the power steering pump on for the rack and pinion. We're no longer going to use that motor mount that has the power steering pump built into it, so I am putting the factory one back on. I just sandblasted it. I'm going to throw some quick paint on it, let that dry, and then we're going to measure width of that, and that's how much we're going to take off that Holley kit. And the Holley kit will sit right here on this, and that will take up the gap. Heat gun. We're having a big booth. right, now I can take a measurement. Yep. $19,128. All right, so what I did, took that measurement, which was 1928, locked the caliper, set it on there, marked around as much as I could, scratching into that, and then taped it along that line. I am going to just take a wheel of death, take off just that much is all we got to take off. It's not much. Start there. I'm going to take that right to the tape line, right to the tape line. Almost going to be about the width of that. You barely have anything that comes off. So yeah, I ain't the prettiest. I'm not a machinist, but pretty flush now with the tape. Doesn't look like I cut the tape, so the tape's still the line. The flap attack brought everything else kind of into it. And if it's still too long or a little crooked, I can make it. I can go a little further in and then always come back with a shim. Because again, like we said before, these are not, they're not holding water. They're not sealing to anything. It's basically an extra leg to brace this whole unit while the tensioner on the serpentine belt creates pressure between the crank and it. That way it doesn't sag down. It's a leg to stand on. But we want to have enough. We don't want too much because being that this is sealed with O-rings, we don't want this cockeyed one way or another because it'll seep. By that, we want a flush fit. So I'm going to bolt this up. I'm going to take that other motor mount off, put the one I painted on, get that all bolted in, and then set this on there and see what we're working with. Get after that. All right, guys. Took forever to get this motor jacked up so we could get the motor mount back into the motor plate mount back into the block because the block sagged the minute we took the other mount out that wasn't supposed to be there. Now the fun part, we're gonna have to loosen that bolt back up a little bit. The top hole supposed to hold bolt move. To get that in easy, we're gonna have to line that up first. I tell you, having these front motor mounts really kind of messed with me. Right, let me show you what we're dealing with here. This top bolt hole, you can see it's offline. And it's mainly because that bottom bolt, there's two bolts that hold this. This is the motor mount. That bolt down there is taking all the weight, which is causing that to move to where it is. Now, I need to take the same one out on this side. Is it going to do the same thing? Probably. But that is where our new accessory drive is going to go, in that hole. So when you have a bracket lining up both of those parts, how the hell are we going to be able to line up the bolt hole? It's going to be bolted to there first. Don't try lining that up first. You got to line it up here. You got to get that water pump there and there bolted up first. And yeah, I'm gonna clean that up with a little Scotch-Brite, so we got bare metal so that the O-ring can seal properly. Yes, I know. And I have to clean that up with a wire wheel when I take it off, so we have a perfectly flat surface to mesh to. I know. I'm not taking this one out with the much problem I had getting this one back in. Yes, that bracket looks a lot better painted than that one. Tough. That's all I gotta say is tough. You ain't gonna see it anyways. Maybe I want to hold its place. Maybe I can get that one started. First, silicone. We as humans should have been born with 18 hands. At least 4. All right, guys. Had to go a different route with the fuel pump. Oh, you can keep the fuel lines where it's supposed to be. But we went new because once this is all on, might be hard to get at that. Might be all right. Not sure. Didn't want to mess with it. So we got that on. And now we got that on. You can see down here where it mounts, where we shaved off and got ourselves good side of the flush. We're good. Now we're just piece by piece throw the accessories on there. I did put this on because it's easier to do it off the vehicle than on the vehicle. But the problem we do have was that we got, we have to go down here on the fuel pump, and now we're up there. Wonder if I got an adapter coming, but it doesn't look like this is going to be long enough. We're going to need to this one. The return here, so this isn't a problem. We can get this deal there, and not a problem. This. The -6, this is a -8. I'm gonna have to play with that. Gonna have to get a 45 for this, so I got that ordered. Piece here, and then this will ride right there. It'll be nice. That fit in nice. Got the compressor in. Look at doing the pump pulley. Then I have the idler yet to go on, so we're almost there. Getting this test fitted so that we can make sure the radiator fits and everything is copacetic. All right, we'll be back. Hey guys, how's it going today? So it's been a little while ordering parts, waiting on stuff. Working on the Nomad. Another day, another scratch my head. Let me show you what we're dealing with here today. Love my brother. Why I wouldn't want to be in a business with customers. Well, let me just show you. It's easier to show you than explain it. So we already have this done, right? Master cylinder. Tell me earlier, bend the lines, adjust the lines, get this all running. Yeah, looks good. Looks real good. All nice and tucked up under there like he wanted. Yeah, that's right. He changed his mind. He lost his mind, but now he wants all black. It's all hidden under there. When you think you're getting ahead on things, you have to backtrack. The only reason, the absolutely only reason I'm doing this is because we haven't bled the brakes yet. No fluid in the lines, there's no fluid anywhere. If I had already bled these lines and been ready to rock and roll, he can go pay a stranger to do it. That's what we're getting after today. So that's the bracket I have to paint for the almost dry. This is the one that came on it, but this does not work on the bottom of this master. This master has this bump out right here, and it hits directly on there, which won't allow the bolts to go back and tighten flush. They sit out here, which don't want that. Want them going back all the way. And that other bracket's just a single arm. So I painted it black. Broski's going to have to deal with it. It's all black. That's what he wants, right? All black. Which I like, with, you know, little pops of chrome. Headers look good. His new valve covers he's got's going to look good. We've got blacked out wire covers that'll kind of tame down the ceramic coating on the headers. Not that this matters, but we both hate that ballast resistor. Looks ugly. And it means you got points, which aren't the most reliable thing on the world, especially if you don't drive the vehicle constantly. So to get rid of that, we got to go to an electronic distributor. I got that ordered from Speedway, and they just happen to have a solid black one. Black billet, the shaft's black, the vacuum advance module is black, black cap, the hide back there, new black coil that'll go under there with a new black bracket. Granted, all that's hidden back there, but it's just one more thing that stealthens up this whole engine compartment. Got a cover for that, that's black. Got a black pulley that's supposed to go on there, and a black cover that goes on the end of that, and a black cover for that. Black, black, black. And then you just have your little stuff like that standing out and little things. We even got black hose. Yeah, I said black hose clamps. Fuel lines and heater hoses and things like that. Going stealth with just a little pop of color. What are we building, a house? Pop of color? Little pop of chrome. How about that? Oh. That'll be good. Be getting all of those lines. Got some nice braided line. I've seen my other videos I like to use when I do wiring. That'll tidy up that. And this over here, that all tidied up. Step by step. That a New Kids on the Block song, Step by Step. One of those boy bands. Comment down below. What do you think? Slow progress, but how fast are you in your garage? I'm like you guys. Stuff takes forever. I wish I had a steady budget for doing projects on YouTube. That'd be cool. All right, so new bracket. But all you're going to see in the car of the bracket, you'll barely see this side because it'll be shadowed underneath. And you'll see that.
All right. The black bracket, black proportioning valve is in. What a pain in the ass. That thing didn't line up like the other one did at all. Even though it's the same thing on the same bracket, for some reason it was just different. That's nice and hidden. It's nice and hidden. Looks good. Hope the Bromad's happy. All right, on to the next.
Be tight right here putting a hose on. There's just enough room to get a hose in there, a clamp. I couldn't go any higher with the fan or any lower with the fan like I wanted. I needed another 1/8 of an inch, maybe just a little more than an 1/8. And that would have put it past the weld on the bottom tank. So I ran it level and it sits flush then. Instead of on the weld, it sits flush, and you're not going to have the shroud rubbing on the actual physical tank. The way it's riveted on here like this now, it's just touching the framework, which has nothing to do with the coolant in the tank or in the fins. That was as low as it could go. And now that's as high as this can go because I can feel the top of the fan is right here is right at the bracket, which I'm okay with. Just going to be a little tight putting a hose in there. That should be all right. Everything else is up. Yeah, trim the cross member. Bring it up like an eighth of an inch would be good. That is really close at the bottom hose. It is actually touching. Don't want that cracking due to weight on it. That is it. All right, so we take it back out, trim these panels so they look nice. Sit back, paint them. You can't see them. They'll kind of disappear in here. And you can kind of see this is already cut out from the factory. I don't know if that's for a shroud or whatever, but I think what I'm going to do is kind of run that straight across and have it kind of drop into this corner so it's less noticeable. Tape line and get that straight across, and that should give me an extra room to be able to lift and maneuver that. That'll give me a little extra room on the radiator hose here, and the radiator hose that goes through there, because right now it's sitting right here, it's touching, and the hose will just butt up to that, but that'll be metal on metal, and over time bouncing around it might crack that radiator. So I want distance in there. All right, I'm gonna get these off and cut, get them painted. All right, put the first coat on these. These are pretty much hidden. Not much you can see with them. I'm just trying to get a good coat on them. There's a little sag right there and a little sag right there, but this is all behind the radiator. When I got the ends rounded off because they were pointed, sticking out, catch on stuff. So just rounded the ends over. Fittings on the water pump, and then there's one down on the side over here that that hose is just lined up for it. My brother will be around tomorrow, so tomorrow afternoon we'll get this taped off, because hitting that radiator fan, I'll make sure he's okay with that. I'd just do it. I'll throw a blanket over this whole area, and then I'll take the grinder and just cut off wheel of death and just, and then kind of taper it down there so it looks nice and clean. Throw some paint on that. Already rounded here. That's where I just kind of came off the height of that. Run over and then zip. I'll get that much room as height here off the hose snout. Then there'll be no weight or bouncing or anything on that snout, cause it to crack down the road or whatnot. So that'll give me a little bit of room to do that. Get that all buttoned up. This is the hose, heater hose that was here. We're gonna block that off anyways. Maybe I'll put a temp sender in there for an electric fan, and becomes a ground. And then I'll run that wire down and over into a relay, and then that relay into a fan, into the fan, and then I'll have to have keep power to it. So I get keep power to it, and then when this hits like 180, it goes negative, and then the fan kicks on. The other thing we'll do once the air conditioning comes, that's got a switch on it also, and we don't have to run that switch. I did on mine, when you turn the air on, but I had two fans, so I had one fan that kicks on as soon as you turn the air on, just to keep your engine from getting hot, and then the other fan kicks on if the engine gets to a certain temperature. So it just prolongs the inevitable. But with this one, we're just running the one fan. So maybe when the air conditioning comes, we can decide at that time if when the air is on, you want the fan on automatically, or do you want it to wait till it gets to 180 and then kick on, and then I'll just wire it one way. Some guys say you don't have to have it kick on with the air conditioning. Just wait till it gets to 180 and that's enough. This radiator and fan setup should be plenty for this motor. It's never had an overheating problem. With that exact same radiator, except for it was old, and it's an exact replacement in aluminum though. So the aluminum one should be more efficient to start with, and then adding that electric fan. I know mechanical fans, it's a debate. A 6-blade fan on a clutch tends to cool more, but these giant 10-blade fans with a good shroud, which just has a really decent shroud on it, should be enough. So yeah, guys, we're getting there. Maybe this weekend, radiator in, hook up the wiring for the alternator. Oh, I'm gonna leave here and go. I need to do that right now. I need to go pick up, I think think the alternator, the distributor's here, and I'll go pick that up. So I have that for tomorrow. Hopefully the coil showed up. I already know the distributor's here, but maybe the coil will show up if it's running late. Yeah, no, I'll have that for tomorrow. Then we can run the wires this weekend, plug wires, kind of really start buttoning things up. So little jobs, all little jobs right now. All right, guys, that's enough for tonight. See you tomorrow. Welcome back, guys. I don't know what videos are making it into what episode or whatever you want to call these. I'm trying to get enough little segments together to make one. And this time on the Bromad, we got more stuff to do. I don't blame my brother. It's the right stuff to do. It's the time to do it. It's just taking a bunch of time and ordering parts and figuring stuff out and yada, yada, yada. Said it before. So I think the last time we left off, I was working on getting radiator brackets painted and whatnot. And radiator is going to be the last thing to go in because we changed our mind on a few things. We turn you around and I'll talk you through it. Yeah, that's right. Got ourselves a new intake, new carb. My brother's worried about the Quadra junk. I say that lightly. A lot of guys love the Quadra jets. I'm learning more about them. I'm still not a huge fan. I'm a Holly fan. Edelbrock second. This is kind of the best of both worlds, I guess. That's a Demon carb and an Edelbrock type intake. That's Summit's brand. Again, guys, this is just a cruiser. This isn't going to be any high horsepower. Just got to be fun enough to drive and safe enough to have enough power to get up and pass if you need to and so forth. So that's a 625 carb. I think what's on there is a 600 cast iron intake. That's either here nor there. But we're going to take that out. I got to do the distributor anyway, so pulling the distributor, pulling the carb, you're left the intake. Intake's not that big of a deal. Just again, like I said, more stuff to do, kind of backpedaling, get things done. So that is where we are at this fine day. Gonna be neater, gonna be cleaner, more modern looking under the hood. That's what he's going for. I think it's a good idea. So I'm gonna get this here valve cover off on the driver's side. And I'm going to turn the motor over and get me at, so I know I'm exactly top dead center number one. We ain't got a battery to turn it over and stick my finger over the hole and feel the push of the compression and all that. So easiest way to do it, pull the cap, set it at top dead number one by pulling the valve cover off and watching number one. Check our timing tabs to make sure those line up as they should. That way, when I get it all back together and I go to time the thing, I know everything lines up where it's supposed to. So that's what we're doing today. Before we get going, please, again, subscribe, like, comment. Much appreciated, guys. Those of you that keep coming back that are already subscribed, appreciate you coming back. And hopefully sooner than later, this thing will be done. So, all right, let's get after it. Wow. So I want to say I was 13, 14 years old. Boy, that's just clean and dry in there. You can tell it hasn't been turned over in a long time. Even the oil's ran itself back into the tank, into the pan. I mean, there's hardly even any oil residue up here, which kind of concerns me a little bit, actually. This is a 1978 350 truck motor. My dad had this car restored, did all the paint work and everything. The guy that was doing the work, they convinced him that it needed a different motor. And the guy had this sitting there. I mean, this motor would have been 4 or 5 years old. If it was a 78, 40 years ago would have been 83. I think this was done in 45 maybe, so 5, 6, 7 years old the motor was at the time. Very low miles. And the guy owned a body shop, and I think it was out of a wrecked square body. The motor was low miles, so I got a deal on that and the transmission all in one shot, and they installed it when they did all the work. So I've never looked under the valve covers, but that's really dry. I'll have to make sure. It's always had good oil pressure and stuff, so imagine just sitting 5 years. All the oil isn't pulled up anymore. I mean, these are, I don't feel residual. Usually these little pockets in here and little pockets in here, you'll have a little bit of oil sitting there collected from 10-year-old vehicles. You'll see oil collected up in there that's sitting. Well, interesting. Gonna have to watch and make sure we're getting oil at the top of the motor. Get this rolled over the top bed. One. Always something in the fucking flipping way. Always something. Never just easy little, hey, let's go ahead and pick off this happy, friendly little guy here. This happy little guy. He's gonna take off this happy little guy. Just a happy guy. Out here living all by himself, living his best life. Happy guy. No, gotta take out some other unhappy guy first. In your way. Never just simple, happy little guy. It's been on there a while. Might be original, too. Not have ever been removed. Big heavy cast iron one. Woo-hoo. Ah, these things are heavy. Cast iron pig. Woof. What is going on? I mean, that's brand new in there. What? No sludge, no crudge.
Oh yeah. After they had it painted, they drove it to Florida and back once. Pulling a camper. That was after this motor was put in. We didn't go camping any much after that. I mean, what did they maybe put 1,000, 1,500 miles on this thing? 2,000. Well, no, it's Wisconsin. It was almost 2,000 miles down, so 16, 1,700 miles. Well, you put on 35, call it 4,000 miles driving down and back. Where's the oil?
I'm kind of baffled. But whatever. I'm going to clean it up. Get some towels in the middle there. Get it cleaned up real good. I'm pretty good with a razor, and it's cast iron, so it's not like I'm going to mar it up. It's not aluminum or anything. All right, guys. One step closer. We get this set on here tonight. That's the goal. It's getting late. I mean, who needs to go home, right? The goal today was intake set. Hold out, new in. Oh, it's coming along, guys. It's getting there. So I'll turn you back around here and the next thing I do, brake clean, red Scotch Brite. Brake clean. And I don't know if this is any better than anybody else's, but when I pull my rags out, I reach in from the top, pinch down, and then slide out the bottom. That way, if there's anything down below, hopefully it drags it out. Here's my tech tip of the day. What do you think, fellow YouTube mechanics? I do all right? Oh, see a little piece of gook right there. Good to stick the camera in there because I'm seeing a couple of things I couldn't see. There a little better now. See, a little bit. Not bad though. don't know if that's from me or if that was back there. It sure isn't moving much. Oh, one last wipe down with some brake clean. Use high-tech gasket sealant. On this side, because this is just gasket, the mating surface, and I like a little extra protection. And this acts as a glue to keep the gasket in place while I drop it into place. Got a little brush on it. Boy, when this stuff's brand new, which this is, a lot runnier than the stuff that I had that I couldn't get the jar open anymore. I just go around the intake ports. I lift up the end here and get a little bead started under the gasket. I set the gasket in it. Do like a welding. Pull up ahead and then I go back to it.
Oh, black on black on black. Black on black. That's right. That's right. A little black on black action. Would that be copyright infringement if I did black on black? Alright. Get this stabbed in there and then I'm gonna a couple fittings and should be ready to put the carb on. A little bit of time today and we'll get her done. Here we go. Alright, so I got that stabbed in there. It's not all the way down into the oil pump, but we're in the cam gear and I'm pointed where I want it. So now I'm just going to turn it by hand until it drops into the oil pump. We are lined up on the cam exactly where we want to be, so it doesn't matter if I turn this now. There we go. So what I do in this case, this is a little overkill, people. This is so I can line up exactly. Exactly is a broad term, but this is so I can line up this with this, and that should give me 6 degrees advanced when I tighten it down right there, or very close, so that it'll start. We won't have an issue with trying to turn the distributor to find the right timing and so on and so forth. I know guys do that all the time.
oh, that's close enough. It needs to be pointing here, it needs to be pointing there. But, and again, we don't know if the timing marks are 100% accurate. That's the other thing, but at least we're in the ballpark. I'm pretty sure that's accurate. Because when the valves opened and closed, my timing mark came around and was on the timing set. So the only way to be perfect about that is stick a top dead center in the spark plug hole and turn the motor over until it stops, and mark the timing gear and timing tab, and then turn it around the other way so it's till it stops, and mark the timing tab, and then dead center in the middle of that is 0. So that's the only way to make it completely accurate. But again, I believe this motor is 100% stock, original, hasn't been apart. I'm going on that faith. I know my dad has set timing on this before, so he used those timing marks and it ran. So they're close, within a couple of degrees. So what I do is I set the timing mark on the harmonic balancer to the degree on the timing tab. And I think this motor is probably 4 or 6. We're going to play with that because now with the new carbon and all the new exhaust, maybe 8 to 10. But I know stock, it's 4 or 6. So I'm going to do 6. Set the motor exactly at 6 on the timing tab. Then when I drop in the distributor, where that lands should be 6. So if I mark the housing on the outside of the distributor to line up with number 1 spark plug wire, and I get it dead on, tighten it down there, that should be 6 degrees advanced. Close enough that it should start. We do this. That's my theory, at least. That's what I do. It seems to always work. And, then you got to play with the timing to get it to run right, but at least it'll start and run.